Right, mate. So, back to the Lifestyle Legacy podcast. This morning we've got Joe Gibson, so another online coach from Dubai. Now, you're a hybrid athlete, aren't you? So, running, training,
Yeah.
fill us in, kind of give us a bit more information about yourself.
What about me?
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm not from Dubai. I live in Dubai.
Live in Dubai.
From Newcastle. Moved here just over a year ago, actually. So, October 23 now. Moved on the 1st of September 22. Taking a few months away for the summer, obviously. But, yeah, been over here. And I guess it was always the dream to move away from the UK, live in the sun. I decided that I was going to move to Dubai about a year before I actually did. Maybe about 10 months, just so I could kind of give myself time to build it up. So I think we've got kind of similar stories in that sense. Started coaching in lockdown. It was, I guess, kind of a backup plan. I did business management at uni. That was purely just because I didn't really know what I wanted to do. My dad had a business and I just wanted a business. So went from school straight into a business degree, just had a good time. Never even considered coaching, literally never, just because went to a private school, no one would have ever considered going into that kind of industry. But I'd always been into the gym, which was strange. When I look back now, I'm like, why didn't I think of it? I'd been training for almost 8 years before I even went to uni. So now it seems quite obvious. But anyway, kind of fell into coaching in lockdown. Did my PT qualification when the gyms were shut.
What triggered that change?
I went from uni into freelance marketing, so like running social media channels for businesses. I'd done that through uni as well, alongside club nights. So I always had a lot of stuff going, always been quite entrepreneurial, and I just thought, well, I've made a bit of money doing that when I was at uni. Why can't I, now I've got, more free time because I'm not studying anymore, scale that and turn it into a company? And I did that for like 8 months with some friends, and like it was fine. We made a bit of money, but we just weren't passionate about it. I think I just wanted a business. I wanted that kind of freedom, but I wasn't passionate about the marketing. Like I do like marketing. That's what I enjoy about the coaching side of things now, is being able to still do that. But as I say, it was always kind of backup plan, very knowledgeable within fitness. So it just seemed like the kind of second choice, and it's turned into something quite good, I guess.
And you've always wanted to work for yourself from the start, would you say?
Yeah, I think it's just because I'd always seen my dad work for himself. He was a lawyer, and then he left that and then owned restaurants and pubs and stuff. So I'd never actually seen either of my parents work for anyone else. So I think it was just kind of like the natural progression, I guess. A lot of the kids that I went to school with as well, their parents were business owners. I had the odd job, like I worked in a bar through uni in summers and stuff like that. I worked in a recruitment company, but I've never wanted to work
I guess
for
that's
anyone
probably
else.
one of the benefits of private school, right? I was similar in terms of I was brought up in a family where my parents were self-employed, so it was like, it weren't the obvious thing to do, but it didn't feel like a big risk to kind of go for. It was something that I always wanted to do.
Yeah, and I think it's almost a bit ironic because a lot of the people that I went to school with, their parents had businesses, but none of them have their own businesses now, which is kind of like the opposite of what you would
can
think.
go the other way. You can get comfortable, can't you? You can just fall into this easy route.
There's no pressure. Like my family aren't like that well off, so I'd always kind of had to make my own money. So I think that's probably what's pushed me to do it.
Yeah. No, I do. I think it can drive you one way or the other, can't it? You can go, I've got money coming in easy, I'm going to slack off, I'm going to rinse them. Or you're like, if I kind of want to match that and better that, you're going to have to go do the same but better.
Yeah, 100%. Because like our family were fine, but I was never given like loads. So if I wanted a car, I had to go and work to buy the car. It wasn't just like, right, you're 17, here's a car.
That's a good way to go for it, though.
I think so, yeah. Pushes you,
cool.
Definitely.
And how long have you been into fitness then? So you do, your training now consists of mainly resistance training and running, right?
Yeah, correct, yeah. It's pretty.
And when did all that start for you?
So I always played rugby from the age of 6, played for a club, took that through school, played up until the age of 18. When I was 14, I did my ACL, so snapped the ligament in my knee, which put me out of rugby for a year, and that's when I got into strength training because it kind of replaced that. So I was in the gym 4 or 5 times a week. My dad was into it back then. We had a fairly decent home gym, so he kind of showed me a few things. But I really kind of fell in love with it when I was spending my time. I would have been playing rugby in the gym, and I've literally kept up since. I think the longest I've taken off was about 10 days, and that's when I had my appendix out. I literally have not taken longer than that off since I started.
Then?
Yeah, 100%.
All right.
So just kept that up. It was just bodybuilding, strength training, kind of like traditional, free weights, 5x5. And then when I went to uni, I stopped playing rugby because I kind of lost the love for it. Always kept up the strength training at uni, even though we were drinking like 3 or 4 times a week. And then about 4 years ago, well, just a bit less than that, in lockdown, everyone started to pick up running. That's actually when I did my first run. And then ever since then, I've been hooked on that. But I think the difference with me versus some of the other people that get into running is they would kind of replace their strength training with running. Whereas I always thought, well, I like bodybuilding. I like having muscle mass. I like running as well. Why do you need to replace one with the other? I want to still look like that.
Yeah.
But I want to be able to benefit from the cardiovascular gains. I think a lot of people think that you can't maintain and even build muscle when you're doing cardio. It's just not the case. It's just they don't have their training set up in a way that allows them to do that.
For sure. And if you could just pick one or the other, running or training, which one would you do if you couldn't do another?
100% the gym. That's what I always say to my clients, because like you're not gonna, like, no one wants to look like a runner. Like they don't. I'm sorry, they don't. So yeah, and the way I look is important to me. It's always gonna be. I don't mind saying that. So yeah, if I had to choose between one or the other, it would definitely be the gym for sure.
Cool. And you also touched upon that you can maintain and build muscle very easily with running in the mix, right?
Yeah.
So for everyone back at home who thinks that you might not be able to, or they're unsure on how, what would be like the key factors that you'd be looking at to ensure that you can do that?
We could talk about this all day, because I think people just see it as very black and white. They're like, you either need to bodybuild or run, and you obviously can blend the two. And I think people are coming around to that now with the whole hybrid training. But
yeah,
what in terms of how to get started, or what you need to do?
I would say from a what would we be looking at from a training and maybe balancing standpoint, and also from a nutrition standpoint, what can we do to allow that to kind of happen?
I think there's 3 things, especially with the sort of people that we train, kind of corporate workers who are busy. So I actually made a reel about it today with the video. I think the first thing you need to do if you're looking to get into hybrid training is understand that you're probably going to need to train more frequently than you did if you were just strength training. So if you're looking to maintain your muscle mass, let's say you were strength training 5 times a week, you're going to need to keep at least 4 strength training sessions in, or I think you will suffer. So you've got that. And then if you're wanting to get good at running, realistically, you're going to need to do 2 a week, I would say.
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend doing more than that from the start, because I think, again, what holds a lot of people back is they'll go and run too quickly, they'll do too much, their legs will be sore, that'll hold them back from progressing in their strength training, and then they consequently will lose muscle because they're losing strength as well. So time availability, I think that's the first thing. If you are busy, definitely, like most of our clients are, just understand that it's going to be a lot of training volume. Recovery as well, obviously, if you're going in trying to PB a 5k twice a week and do squats and deadlifts, it's going to be difficult. And then nutrition as well. I think people massively overlook that. Like, are you actually fueling for the amount of training that you're doing? That's a switch that I made when I started putting running in, was I needed to up my carbohydrate intake and pull my fats down a little bit. Yeah, just so you've got energy to perform, because like the way I do it, and I'm sure we'll get onto it in a bit, but I'll run in the morning and I'll lift in the afternoon. So obviously between, like, I'll run fasted mostly. Yeah. And then, between that, I'm trying to get probably 200, 250 grams of carbs. You need to replenish
that glycogen.
Yeah, exactly. And people don't do that. And then they wonder why they're not recovering, they're not performing, and their physique's looking flat because they're just depleted the whole time.
Yeah. And then, so from like a optimal day, so on a day when you've got a little bit more time and you could just plan out your perfect day from a performance sort of point of view. So let's say you've got a Saturday and you might not be doing check-ins, for example. Yeah. And you're going to wake up, you've got a run in there, you've got a resistance session in there. How are you going to structure that day out from when's your first meal going to be? How many meals are you going to be having? What sort of sessions are you doing?
I think it's important to say I'm still figuring it out, but because I think it's very dynamic. Like, it does change depending on what work you're doing, like whether you are, as you say, doing check-ins or just doing deep work content, and what your training schedule is, and whether you're preparing for a race. But my ideal day, if it was a double day, it'll always be a run in the morning. I like to run on an empty stomach, maybe a banana before if it's a faster session. So that would be up at 5, running by 6, bit of a warm up in between, hydrate, electrolytes, coffee, hit the run, come back. I try and keep my meals just structured now, because I find when I'm eating at the same time each day, it keeps my sleep on point. So I'll usually have 4 meals a day. I'll try and just have them at 9, 12, 3 and 6. And I find if I can do that, then I get to bed by hopefully 9 p.m, hopefully sleep by 9:30, then it means I can get up the next day. If you're running in the morning, I think it's essential that you're replenishing glycogen stores within an hour after that, especially if you've got to go into the gym in the afternoon like I do.
Yeah.
If I wasn't doing a double day, if I wasn't running in the morning, I probably wouldn't have that first meal. I would leave it until 11, half 11.
That's
just so that I can get because I think everyone works better fasted, I think.
Yeah, because we've got to take into account performance, right? With yourself and with your clients.
Yeah.
We've got training performance, your running performance, and then also you want to be operating well whilst working. Sometimes if you go for a 200 gram carb meal, then you go straight into a work block. Yeah. You're going to crash. So you've got to kind of...
Yeah, that's what I do find is like when I'm running on those days and then I have my meal after, it is harder to focus that I can do it, but optimally I'd be more productive and efficient if I wasn't running in the morning. But obviously that's what I like to do. That is my brand, my business. I'm running, so it all kind of comes together. But and then I would get probably another 2 meals in, go to the gym maybe 4 p.m, and then have that evening meal, and then in between that just work blocks. I don't get up quite as early as you, so I get most of my work done probably between 9 and 4, go to the gym, and then if there's any admin tasks or sales calls in the afternoon, I'll get those done where I don't necessarily need to be quite as focused, I would say.
For sure. And right now, obviously, I know you were telling me the other day that obviously running's coming on and there's different different strategies with running and kind of getting into it. So for anyone that were looking to get into running, or they may be like even into resistance training already, and they feel like they've built a pretty good rig and they want to keep improving it, but they also want to feel a bit like an athlete at the same time. They want to feel physically fit, not just strong. How would you start introducing someone into their running?
So I would start very small. Again, I was making content about this morning. I think it's more about what kind of mistakes most people usually make. They'll see someone on social media running like, let's say, a sub 25k, which is a fairly respectable time. They'll try and go out and do that. They might actually be able to do that if they're quite fit, but that's going to be very hard to recover from. It's going to send their heart rate really high. What you actually want to focus on doing if you're wanting to get better at running is you need to develop your aerobic base, which is like your base level of fitness. So in order to do that for someone of our age, you're wanting to keep your heart rate below 150 beats per minute. And for anyone that's new to running, that's actually quite hard to do. You're going to have to run a lot slower than you think you should. But it does build that aerobic base, and that's going to help you in the weights room as well. Like on a high rep set of squats now, like I'm not that out of breath because I'm so fit. So you need to do that, build that up, and then it's kind of like, well, it is building the foundations. Like the stronger your base level of fitness is, the better you're going to be able to perform when you're doing, interval training, track workouts and stuff like that. So I would start probably with 2 short, easy runs per week. I wouldn't even focus on distance. I would focus on time. I would say, like for our clients, if they're new to running, we'd probably put 2 easy runs in, literally probably just 20 minutes each.
So you'd almost treat it just like a cardio block, less cardio, but it's just in the form of a run, and it's going to be X amount of minutes.
And I would say just run for that amount of time, 20 to 30 minutes, depending on the client. Try and keep your heart rate below 150 at all times, and then on average as well. And over time, as you get fitter, you should find that you can run further in that amount of time. So let's say you ran 3.5k in 20 minutes. Maybe a month later you can run 4k. Yeah. And you will notice that your heart rate's lower. And that will help you in the gym as well.
Do you regularly train 5k runs?
Me, no. I'm focusing more on, I'm hitting about 50k a week at the moment over 4 runs, but I'm prepping for a half marathon at the moment, so a Monday will be a low intensity run like that, but it'll be like 10 to 12k longer, just because like I won't get much out of doing a 5k now. And then there'll be 2 speed sessions midweek where there'll be some hard intervals, like hard efforts, running for 2 to 4 minutes and then resting and then going again. And then tomorrow I've got, I think it's 4 times 10 minutes at the pace that I want to run in my race, so half marathon. And then on the weekend you'll tend to do a longer run, but it's taken me 3.5 years to get up to doing that.
And that half marathon, what sort of time are you looking at wanting to kind of box off there?
I'll be going for between an hour and 30 and about an hour and 35. Like I did an hour 30 in the UK about a month ago, which is a pretty good time for someone who's like, I'm not heavy, but I'm heavy for a runner. It's a pretty respectable time, but it just depends on the temperature in Dubai, because that's where
you're doing the half marathon here. Yeah,
it's in Dubai.
Yeah, and do you find running here a lot harder?
Depends what month it is. Over the summer, it's unbearable. Like just so humid, and it'll send your heart rate really high. So it's very hard to keep your heart rate low. Whereas in November to March, it's fine. It's obviously hotter than the UK, but it's doable. You get used to it, definitely.
Yeah, and when you're performing at your highest level, do you feel like when your lifts are improving, your runs improve in correlation? Or do you feel like you definitely suffer in one area when you start peaking in the other?
I think it's like a happy medium. I feel like I'm there at the moment. Like for me, the happy medium is probably between 78 and 79 kg, where I'm fairly lean. I'm probably under 10%. I've still got good energy to lift in the gym, progress here and there. Like I've been training for 12 years, so it's hard to progress anyway.
Yeah.
But I can certainly maintain strength and build it a little bit. Runs are still of a good quality. I find if I go under that, the runs will obviously improve a lot, because the lighter you get, the more easy it is. But I find my energy in the gym isn't as good. So I think it's just about prioritizing what you are wanting to work on most right now. Like for me, if I'm prepping for a race, obviously that needs to take priority. But I won't remove the strength training. You see a lot of people do that. They'll actually go from like 4 to 2, and then they will lose muscle, and then the physique suffers. So for me, it's there's an even balance, but a week before my race, I'm not going to lift as heavy on legs.
For sure, almost like a deload week. But
yeah,
it's not
basically they call it a taper week.
Yeah. So effectively, if you're wanting to perform at the highest level, physically, in the gym, running, and mentally from a work standpoint, that 8 to 10% body fat you feel like is a nice sort of athletic point.
Yeah, I think you'll know as well, like when you're in a bit of a deficit, it makes you alert, because naturally you need to be on slightly lower calories, not low to the point where you're fatigued, but you're just more alert. You're not consuming quite as many carbs. You're needing to be more on point with your meal times. You're probably not eating for the sake of it. I think it's more just having something to focus on. It's like if you've got a physique goal, maybe you're trying to lose a couple of kg, or if you're prepping for a race, like I want to be light when I run, so I'm not going to go and eat shit.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to, I'm not going to eat shit in the evening if I'm running in the morning, because it make me feel bloated. So I find when I'm on point with that, everything else gets better. Work gets better. You're just more, I think you're more confident as well. Like if you're looking better, you're performing well, you're doing better on your check-ins, the content that you're putting out is of a better quality as well, I think. So I think that's something I want to have at all times, is to be working towards something. It doesn't mean that you've always got a photo shoot next week, but just knowing what's coming up, basically.
And I always say the same with clients. Like if you've got a busy period of time coming up at work, a slight deficit phase or like a maintenance health block at worst case scenario is going to be the best thing you can do, because you're sharper. If you're in that slight deficit, tightening up, you will be more alert, you will be more focused. Whereas a lot of people, you'll have probably had this on like a discovery call with a potential client. They'll say, oh yeah, I've dieted before, but I don't want to diet again because my energy's horrendous. Like, what do you think is the biggest cause for people dieting in the wrong way, which makes them feel massively fatigued? They feel low in energy, they feel like they're crashing, feeling skinny fat. They're not feeling like they're actually getting what we know the big benefit of a diet is.
It's probably just the classic, they go way too low too quickly, isn't it? Like a lot of our mates and coaches, like when they start a deficit, it's minimal. It's like, right, I'm going to add an extra 2,000 steps. I'm going to reduce my calories slightly. I might do one more cardio session. It's not these drastic changes that people make. Like for me, like obviously I work with JJ, he controls my nutrition. Like if I've got a photo shoot in 3 weeks, literally all we'll probably do is bump my steps from 15k to 18k. We probably wouldn't change anything else. Keep my training the same. Maybe throw in one low day a week, one more low day, and that'll have me there. It's small changes. Whereas people who are, they're undertrained, and they're not even training consistently, they suddenly start training every single day. They're obviously fatigued. They can't recover from it. The nutritional choices they're making probably aren't optimal. They're probably eating too many calories early in the day, so they're hungry in the evening. The quality of the food they're eating is probably not good. Dietary fat's probably too high. There's so many things.
Yeah. So just like a combination of going in way too aggressive, too fast, too much training volume out of nowhere, and then they just basically get to a point where they're over fatigued and they just can't kind of keep up. A lot of people go from like pressing a button of, I've just been eating whatever, ins and outs are like all over the shop, and then all of a sudden they go, I'm pulling to 1,400 calories and I'm training 7 days a week. Whereas,
Yeah.
like we were saying, you'd want to be on like a priming block where you're just very stable at a maintenance or from a surplus position, and it's just little tiny changes. So maximal gain for minimal
Yeah,
changes,
that's exactly what you want to do. Yeah.
rather than just going all in or all out.
Yeah, like, you know, everyone wants to do the minimum. It's like the minimum effective dose, isn't it? Like just increasing your steps.
Yeah.
Will actually have a big impact if you do it for 2, 3, 4 weeks. But people don't do it for long enough to
They
see
want results tomorrow.
They won't see the change. They'll be like, oh yeah, I did more steps, but they actually haven't tracked it, so they don't know, and they probably didn't do it in the first place, and they don't do it for long enough, so they don't see the result. And it's like as soon as you start seeing the result, you're like, okay, this works. I'm going to keep doing it. You need that proof of concept.
Yeah, and I think when you're looking for performance as well, not just like a quick 4-week desperate fat loss into a holiday, that approach is going to help you out massively, obviously from a performance standpoint.
Definitely.
You know, and feeling your best going into it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how long have you been in Dubai for now?
Just over a year. Well, we took 2 or 3 months away, but yeah, technically I've had
Where did you
business
go?
here. I went back to the UK, and then I went to Spain a couple of times, Marbella and Mallorca. So I didn't go any further afield than that. But yeah, that was purely just to get away from the weather. Like I love it here; it's amazing. But it was just like I need to run for my work, so it just didn't really work.
So it was more from just like a business standpoint rather than a holiday.
Yeah, it's just enjoyment as well. Like if I can't run, that's a big part of what I do. It's like you not being able to go to the gym, it wouldn't be good. And I like Dubai is amazing, but it's full on. And I think if you stay here for 8 months, 9 months, you're like, oh, I need a little bit of a break. Yeah.
Do you still feel like Dubai is the best place for you year round?
Yeah, 100%. It's where the base will always be for the next 5 years at least. I think.
Second and third favourites? What are you saying?
I do love Spain. Like my dad and my stepmom live in Mallorca, so I've been to Spain a lot. I love it there. I just love the vibe. But I think
complete opposite to here though. Chilled out.
I think like what we're trying to do at our age, you need that push. Like, and I wouldn't get that in. Like I loved being in Marbella. I actually did really well in Marbella. I had a really good month, but there's not that. You know, you're not meeting up with people like us all the time. It's just I
think it's good, but it does feel almost like I think if you've already built a business and you're going away to somewhere like that and you can just keep a nice stable increase on work, it's good. But I think if you're looking to get away, improve your performance, improve your business, I do think places like Dubai and cities where there's more energy, you're going to kind of lock in and get that done.
Yeah.
I feel like getting away is probably the best thing you can do from an environment standpoint for growing a business or just becoming that next level.
Yeah.
But then I do feel like Europe is really good, but I feel like it's better once you've already kind of established yourself.
I think it's the place to go for a holiday and to relax a little bit. Like, I don't think we're ever going to take a week off work. It's not going to happen, but you could be like, right, I'm not doing check-ins for a week. I'm just going to go and, get content, put some stuff up. But I think the problem with I was in Newcastle. It's a small city. Like, I was quite a busy PT there compared to a lot of the people there. So there was no push. I could have stayed there at that rate and been comfortable. You come here and no one gives a fuck. Like, you're no one. Like, and there's some people don't like that. They want to be like the big dog, but I think I respond better to a little bit of pressure. Definitely.
You can't have an ego, can you? In this game, you've got to.
And also, like here, it's like it's expensive to live. Let's not lie. Yeah. So you've got bills to pay, like big bills to pay each month, and that pushes you to work harder. And like obviously, you end up pushing more than that.
Yeah, because you can't let your baseline come down. I think in the UK you could probably $1.5-2 grand a month if that was like that you could technically still survive on that. Whereas here you probably need if your worst month was 8k, you'd be crying, wouldn't you? You'd be going home.
You wouldn't take much home, especially when you've got staff and those sort of expenses.
I know with what I reinvest back in, you need a lot of money out here.
Yeah, and I think just by putting yourself here, you end up earning more than like the differential is probably greater. I would say.
100%. And it's not that you even then keeping it all, because you're like me, aren't you? You're a big reinvestor. You're in this for the long game. You want to grow. You want to provide as much value as possible. It's not about just bringing it in, hoarding it. You want to just grow as much as you can. So as soon as you get to a position where you can invest in better content, you will do. As soon as you can invest in better facilities, you will do. Like
you don't want to because you can lose your head with it. Like you're turning over good money. You can lose your head with it. And same for Dubai as well. You see people. There's huge opportunity here. You can make a lot of money, not even just in fitness, in real estate or whatever. But you go to a club a couple of times a month and you've blown thousands. So you have to be careful with it, I think.
I've been on dates here that have cost like 2K.
Yeah, ridiculous.
And you're just like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those places where it's like, if you come here, you've got to be very... I think you need to be someone who's got to be very passionate about what you do, because you're forced to reinvest back, aren't you?
Yeah.
If you just hoard money here and then you just spray it on yourself, I mean, it could slide downhill fast.
Yeah, I think you've got to be growing here, because there's always things that come up as well. Like, people say that there's no tax. Like, there is actually tax, and you have to pay a lot of other things that you wouldn't have to in the UK. There's always things coming up. You're renewing your business license, you're getting visas. Like, it is expensive.
That's the thing out here. You can just get slammed one day with a 5K bill, and like at home, that just wouldn't happen.
No,
like you can't just have a 5K bill come out of nowhere, and then here you just get a message from your accountant or visa guy or whatever, and you're like, oh shit.
They don't give a shit. You'll be out if you don't have it sorted. They'll kick you out of the country.
Or your apartment might be like, oh yeah, well we've changed the policy. We need a 6-month hold now. That's going to be like 50K.
Yeah.
And you're like, cool.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, 100%. So, living here, you're thinking for the foreseeable, really, right?
Yeah, well, I think the business is set up here now, and it's quite a big deal to set your business up. It's not like in the UK, it's like 50 quid. It's like quite a big operation. You also need to pay to shut it down. So, yeah, I'm going to keep the business here for years.
Yeah, 100%.
This will be the base, but obviously you can travel around.
Where do you want to travel? What's on the agenda?
I think for the rest of I'm not leaving for the rest of the year. I need to just stay here and focus. But
as in 2023, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I think because I am going to leave for like 3 months in summer, I want to like maximize my time here. But I do want to go to Bali. It just seems I've heard great things. But as we were saying last week, it's not the place to go and like scale. It's the good place to go and have a little bit of downtime and get some good content.
Yeah, I'm big on like flow and momentum with work. So when you get into the swing,
don't leave.
No. Stay in. Like we were saying here, my apartment, like I'm up the top end of the marina. It's like I'm in my own little world.
Yeah.
You can just nestle down, get your work done. Your output's ridiculous. Your productivity is ridiculous. No distractions. Stay in that zone. It's too easy to fall out, and then it's hard to get back in. Once you're in, stay in, and then reap the rewards, and then obviously take those breaks so you can come back fresher when you actually need it, and you're like your brain's telling you I need it. Don't just... I think a lot of people get into online coaching, don't they? Like, oh, you're just going to travel around, like you just float around place to place. If you want to grow an online coaching business, do not be a floater.
No.
Like, yes, online coaching means that you can be based anywhere in the world. And one day when I kind of got into online, I probably thought, oh yeah, I'll be just wanting to travel all the time. I'm a big person, I've realized, for routine and productivity and performance. Same. And the more you like... The good thing with coaching is that when you're online, you can pick where in the world you want to be based, but you still want a base. If you want to build and give the most value, turn up for your clients in the best way, turn up for the public on content in the best way, you can't be just darting around all the time. You've got to be in full flow, and then you'll take your 2 weeks, maybe every 16, 20 weeks, and you just have more like a maintenance block, and then you go through a push phase again.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you had like 20 clients, you could. It's easy to manage, but we don't. And like, if you look at anyone who's doing really well, they're not floating around. They do travel, but they're probably staying in that place for 2-3 months, and you can get a lot of work done there. And like, I think I'm like always like, oh, where should I go next, sort of thing. And I just have to bring myself back and be like, just stay here and build.
I think as the brand gets much bigger and you've got more and more and more staff, like I've got a team now behind me doing the back end stuff. Got Louis in Transform. As it grows, and my role will become more just providing value, the team calls, the content, you can then travel and make it business travel for just content, and the team's kind of running and operating. But I think I still like to be hands-on for now with at least a good chunk of clients, and I think whilst you're in that position, you owe it to them really to be in a base and just
100%.
Giving it everything, 100%.
Yeah, because I mean, don't get me wrong, like you can do it, and a lot of us do go away for summer, but we've stuck in for 9 months hard, where you build the foundations, and then, you know, if you do want to go away for 2 weeks, you're still working when you go away, but it's not optimal, because like you just want to get up and do the same thing each day, and you can't do that if you're on flights and like your sleep is fucked. Like that's the main thing for me, is like if the sleep isn't good, everything else isn't as good. Nutrition is not as good. Just all goes out the window. It's like you can still do well and you'll have a good month. Like I had a really good month in Marbella, but because I'd done a launch for a month before that, so kind of you've got to prepare for it.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think the thing is, people can look at it from the outside and just think, oh, it's just a bit of a DOS job. And I think everyone in the world now has online coach in the bio, don't they? So then people are associating a level of coach which is just DOSing, and they're doing like, they've got a few clients and they're not really doing anything, to then the guys who are out here killing it, they're operating like machines, aren't they? Very performance focused with themselves. They're running an actual proper business.
Yeah.
And they're working 7 days a week. You know, there's days where they're just working all the way through the night.
Yeah, mate.
They've got a lot on the plate. They're not just coaching. You know, they're building a business. They've got content. They've got marketing. They've got building resources in the background. They've got their accountancy. There's so many tasks that you've got to get good at. And then obviously you can start delegating stuff out. But it is running a proper business when you've got a big team and a lot of clients.
Yeah.
So you do deserve them breaks, but you definitely can't be floating around.
No, and like it is. It's a fucking military operation, and people don't see it, because obviously you're not going to post any story of you doing the programming. But like on Sunday, I literally sat from I think 9 until 10, like with, you know, a couple of breaks, and just did programming. Like it's fucking hard. And then you know you reward yourself. You're going to take Wednesday afternoon off, but it's go the whole time.
You've got to be proper passionate about this, don't you, if you want to do it? Like
I think you've got to have a combination. I think to do well in online coaching and, you know, make it fairly big, you've got to have a combination of like you obviously do need to be a good coach, enjoy coaching, actually want to help people, because otherwise you're not going to show up and do it, and that vibe's going to come off, and you check in, this guy doesn't care, he just wants to make money. You do need to be business minded though, because you're not going to scale it efficiently if you're not. And you do need to love the progression, and you need to be into fitness, because if you're not showcasing daily that you're doing what your clients are doing, you're telling your clients to do, then no one's going to buy into that. So I think you need to be like business minded, but you need to be a good coach as well.
I agree. Like I think a lot of people can look in from the outside and think, oh, business minded, it's just sales, it's just money. But when, I don't know, your mission's probably similar to mine. Mine is become the best version of myself, and then be able to help as many people from a physique standpoint, from a health standpoint, from a performance, lifestyle, create their own life standpoint. If you then want to help people, more people, and have more of an impact, you have to get better at business, because you have to get known so you can actually help more people.
Yeah.
So if I'm earning more money, that means I'm helping more people, providing more service. So you've got to be both. If I wanted to help more people, but then I weren't going out of my way to try and help more people and get more results and change more lives, well, you're not doing what you need to do.
Yeah, like you can be a fucking amazing coach, but if you're not doing any marketing, no one's going to see you. And then on the flip side, you can be amazing at marketing, but at some point it's going to fall down, because your program's going to be shit, because you don't actually know how to get people results. So then, and if you look at people that we've been with on mentorships and stuff, all the people that are making the most money and have got the biggest businesses, they're all fucking good coaches. Like like they get great results. There's no one that's slipped through, and like you can't get to that level without being a hard worker either. It's not possible.
And the thing is, these days, like all the good coaches know everyone, don't they? There's a bit of a circle out here, and like I know on Instagram every bio says online coach, but there you could count on a couple of hands, really, couldn't you?
You know who's doing well, and because you can just tell, like just the quality of the content. Like if you're not working with a videographer, you don't need to be with them every week. But do you know what I mean? You can just tell who's actually investing into their business, and like that just gives the brand a certain kind of aura. And
meeting people in like mentorships and stuff on business, like when you're in mentorships that are costing 10, 15, 20k, you like, oh well, these are clearly serious, because they must be, one, earning a lot of money to spend it back in, two, they're serious about providing more value, because they're trying to learn how to provide more value.
100%. Yeah, that's how you meet. That's how I've made my friendship group here. I didn't know anyone before Mark's mentorship.
Yeah, I agree. I like to talk about networking a lot, because I think it's very important.
Yeah. And
you've almost got to like invest in yourself. That's usually with a coach, with a mentor, to allow you to come up to that level. You start operating at that level, and then you meet people on that level or in the actual coaching program or mentorship group.
Yeah.
And then a small percentage of those guys will then go again and level up, and you just keep upgrading your network every time.
It's true. Like the people you hang around with, so cliche, isn't it? But like the people you have, it is true. Like you have a conversation with someone, and it motivates you to work really hard for a week. Whereas if you're hanging around coaches and you're way better than them, then where's the push?
Demotivation. No, being around other high performers is massive. I found that from an energy standpoint. I think there's a combination where you go through different phases, and you've got a phase where you're around people. I say the term losers on my socials all the time. I feel like people take it wrong, right? When I say like loser, I literally mean they're not going where you want to go. That's all I mean by it, right? And if you're hanging around all these people and they're like, oh, why aren't you drinking? You know, why aren't you coming out tonight? Oh, because I'm working actually on my business, or because I'm in the gym at 5 a.m, whatever. All these people who are knocking your business, knocking your career, knocking your lifestyle you want to make, your dreams, your physique, your fitness, health, whatever. You've got to leave them, and then you branch off on your own, and you've got to go solo and spend a lot of time on your own. But then you end up really liking your own company. You've probably found that, right?
Yeah, it's lonely, like, but at the same time, you know, we make a conscious effort to do so on Saturdays and whatnot. But yeah, there's gonna be a lot of time where you're in front of your screen.
But then you're very comfortable after a while, aren't you, on your own? It seems lonely at the start.
I like being on my own, but then like
I'm obsessed.
I need to do something once a week. That's what I've realised. Like Saturday afternoon needs to be doing something. I can't work 7 days a week. I can work 7 days a week. I can't work flat out 7 days a week.
Yeah, but no, I'm the same, mate. So you go from a bad group of people, solo, and then investing with coaches, either on your physique or business, whatever, upgrade. Then you start being with more like-minded people, and you go through phases of group of people on your own, group of people on your own, group of people on your own.
Yeah.
And then being around those high performers, it's just motivating, isn't it?
I think I was quite fortunate that like when I was at uni, like, I actually ran club nights, had like 2 going, and like we've always drank a lot, like our group of mates, but they were I was fortunate in the sense that they were never like when I did start doing my own ventures and stuff, they were never like, why aren't you going out? They just supported it. Yeah. So I never had that, you know, I've got to leave this group, but I don't speak to them as much just because I don't like being on my phone. You're busy, aren't you, now with your own stuff? Well, you know, we'll go on holiday once a year, we'll have a great time. Like, but yeah, like who you surround yourself frequently with is the most important, I think, definitely. But I've always built mine off like the lifestyle I wanted. Like, I don't know if I watched like Joe Delaney, and those sort of like Louis Armstrong, like Mike and stuff, and like I've always looked at it like, well, if they're doing it, like why can't I do it? I don't never want to be like the influencer, but if they're working online, hanging around with these sort of people, traveling and stuff, like you can go and do that. You just need to find your like
anyone
business.
That you see out here is just a person.
Yeah.
Like I came out here and I was literally just like, oh well, they're killing it. These are the people I used to watch, and now you're training with them, whatever.
Yeah, it's mad.
And they're just a person, and they've just actually just taken action. They've been consistent for a long period of time. They just dropped all fear on what people thought. They had no different fears. It's not like they didn't have the fear that Joe over there has, or that James over there has. They did. They just carried on. That's all it is.
Yeah, I think that's a good, because I listen to so many. I must listen to probably 2 podcasts a day, if not more. And like I think, you know, I listen to, you know, like Rob, Mike, those sort of people, business people, and like. I think when you see all these mentorships, they're always, you know, 20k a month, whatever, 90 days. You start thinking, well, like, am I doing something wrong because I've not made fucking 50k in 2 years? Whereas if you actually listen to what all those guys are saying that are doing well now, they've been in the game for 10 years, and now they're making loads of money.
Smooth
it just
is
takes
fast.
time.
Smooth is fast, I think. You fall in the trap of early days. You come into the industry because you love it. And then all the sort of society thing starts, or you see stuff and it's like, oh, all this money in like, you know, 90 days, whatever. And then you realize that if you actually want a proper, my thing for me is I don't just want to be some salesy guy selling rubbish. I want a proper brand. Like I want a world leading brand. And that's why we've just rebranded to Elect. I know you've just rebranded as well to a really high quality brand. And now our main mission is just high quality, and that's just going to grow over time. You can't force.
And do you know what? I think it will take a little bit longer to get to where I want to be, but you're doing it in a way that is authentic and it's fun as well. Like doing YouTube is fun. We're not pumping thousands of pounds a month into Facebook ads to scale. It's just the wrong way to do it. I don't. It's not enjoyable. If you don't enjoy doing it, then
I think you get to a point, don't you, where I basically hit a point where I was like, right, I've moved to Dubai, I've got the freedom. If I need to jump on a flight tonight, I can. I've got the apartment I want. I've got the lifestyle I want, as in terms of I can work when I want, I can coach however many people I want, on demand, I can train when I want, whatever. So that's my happiness, right? That's ticked. Mm-hmm. Then you can go again. But to go again now, all that's going to bring me is my main mission, which I've realized is my purpose, is just providing more value, helping more people. And I need to keep getting better and better and better to help more and more people. And then, yes, you can then get more pleasure out of stuff as you start earning more money. You've got like the cars and stuff. But my life really, honestly, won't get much happier than where I am now.
Yeah.
So I'm not like, I don't want to push the sales stuff hard. I literally just want to help people. And if you know you could provide value to someone, I feel like it's my job to provide value to them.
Yeah,
that's how I see it.
Yeah, I think like, again, it's like cliche, but if you're, I like to look at things quarterly. I think monthly you can get a bit in your own head, because you might literally just have something that didn't come through for like a week, and it can really change your progress for the month or whatever. So I think as long as you're improving, even every 6 months and every year, then you're winning, aren't you? Because you've got a great setup, you can pay your bills, you're enjoying it. As long as you're progressing in some way, right? Then
how old are you?
26.
Yeah. So I mean, they say with lads, don't they? You don't even start living until you're 30. And I'm a big believer in that. When I got to 21, mate, I was terrified. I was like, fuck, I'm getting old. Mm-hmm. And I was proper like, oh, I'm getting old. And I was just like, foot on the gas. And then now I'm 23. I'm like, oh, fuck, I'm actually doing all right. What was I worrying about? I literally feel like everyone out here is doing really, really, really well, 28 to 35.
Yeah, it's so true. And like if you can set yourself up by the time you're 30, like we both will, then because you're right. If you look at those guys, they all probably started to blow up in between 29 and 32. I would say that's when they start making the real money.
Yeah, and the fact that you can just live this life and enjoy it and provide value along the way, it's like
every day is fun. At the end of the day, you're not.
I honestly don't get them days anymore where I just don't like it. Like I literally love every day.
Yeah, and that's the main thing, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, 100%.
That's the thing.
I know you touched on Saturdays. You like obviously catching up with the lads.
Yeah.
Whatever. What's the scene with the women?
Fuck. So I've had 2 girlfriends. One at school and then one at uni. Was like 2 years through uni. Great girl, got on, just didn't really work well towards the end. Broke up literally just before COVID. So I've not actually had a girlfriend since I've been coaching.
Since you've been here, you've been single?
Since I've had my business, I've been single. I've not even dated. Like I've dated, but I've not like
serious.
Like I've obviously been on dates and stuff, but I just kind of left it. I was like, I just want to work on myself and like really grow this.
Do you think it's an advantage being single or not when you've got a business that you're trying to run?
I think I will always grow a business faster single. I
agree.
I know there are, again, I listen to a load of podcasts. There's a lot of people that say that you can find someone that will complement. I do believe that, but it's probably rare. I wouldn't say no now, because I've been single for almost 4 years. I'd be willing to try something, but at the same time, if I'm not, then I'm happy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm never closed, but I'm never one way or the other. I'm literally just like, look, I know my full life vision, where I want to be. I'm going to give it everything every single day to get there. The better I become, the better I can be for the girl. Whenever you meet them.
That's what it is. You don't want to be like, at uni, it didn't matter, because like no one was anyone. No. Whereas now, like, there is that pressure, I think. Like, I'm sorry, I don't care what people say. Like, if you go on a date with a girl, they probably already know what you do, roughly how well you're doing. That's what they want to know. And if you've not made anything of yourself, then you probably wouldn't be on a date in the first place. But I think, like, the way I see it is like, I can always go back to work and improve on myself, work on my fitness.
You can't be an average guy these days, can you?
Well, you can be. I don't want to be though. Like, because you're gonna be able to provide further down the line, and like, I'm not.
I don't know if this is just me, right? But if I was 32 and I was like, right, I want to settle now. I'm kind of at the age where I might want to get with someone. And if I was out of shape, it doesn't have to be your own business. I think people think you've all got to be self-employed. You don't. 3 out of 4 millionaires are employed, right? So you're in shape. I'd want to be in shape, like, and I'd want my kid to think he's a machine.
Yeah, exactly.
Physically, mentally, I then want to have a good career with stability where I can provide. She can do her own thing, but I want to be able to provide in any scenario, from obviously house, school, whatever the kids need, healthcare, everything. So you're just unbreakable in all aspects. But you're never going to be unbreakable in all aspects if you don't have your physical and mental shape. Like, so why lads just think that they're going to just, some woman's just going to fall on them that they actually truly like lust for? I'm like, it's just stupid. You've got to become the man and then you get it. It's the same with like our business. It's like, look, if you want to work with more clients and help more people, you've got to give tons of free value first. So you've got to become it before you're going to get it.
Yeah, I think I think work on yourself and then you'll get more inbound leads anyway. If you know what I mean. Like,
yeah, mate.
Because you do like, it's like, you know, I do message the odd girl, like I get much more responses now because it's quite obvious.
Yeah, I'm not asked. I literally just don't reply half the time. Sometimes I will, but you get so like obsessed in your own. Like, I know when I was 18, I'd be like, oh my god, the girl's replied. Yeah. Right now, I'm literally just like.
I think if, like, as we said before, I wouldn't say no if it was the right person. I would explore it, but there would definitely have to be a restructure of how I structure my week because there's not really much time to fit it in right now. They would also have to fit a lot of, you know, different criteria. Like, they would need to be. They would certainly need to be into some sort of fitness. They don't need to be strength training or running, but they would need to have some sort of care for their fitness.
So she can't be fat?
No, of course not.
Good.
Like, I don't, like that. No, like, that's not. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that, but that's not the sort of person I want to be with.
No. It works both ways. It's not just men that need to be physically fit. Like, you've got to go for it. What do you look for in a girl? What do you look for?
Well, as I say, it's very different to when I was in a relationship. But now I think, as I say, they would need to be into health and fitness. They'd need to be doing something 3 times a week. They need to. I quite enjoy going for the odd drink, to be honest. Like, a few drinks, you know, maybe 3 or 4. So I don't mind if they want to do that, but they can't be wanting to go and get fucked up every weekend. I'm not sure whether I want someone entrepreneurial, to be honest. I don't know whether I want that kind of like.
I think it can be good, but I feel like not all, but some give off too much masculine energy.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want that. I don't want someone telling me what to do. Like, to an extent maybe, but
I don't feel like I get ever told what to do. I feel like it's more like the energy. I think, you know, when men say, I feel like it's so misinterpreted. You know, when men say, I want a girl that kind of just you provide for and she kind of just follows. It doesn't mean you want a little bitch who just does nothing. It's basically, it's just the energy. You're just like the masculine person. Like, a man's meant to be a man, a woman's meant to be a woman. She can still be earning really good money, but she's still got to have the feminine energy, because that's what we want. We want that pretty girl who's acting feminine, she's caring, she does the little things for you. You're working and she's like, oh, seeing you're still busy, and she's brought you over like a glass of water. Just little stuff like that's all I'd ever want from a woman. Yeah.
I think
it's not that big a deal. And then obviously she's got to be a 12 out of 10 looking, because if you're not physically attracted, game off.
That's it.
Game off.
Yeah, high standards definitely, and they would need to understand what I was trying to do, because I do work on Sunday all Sunday, so and that's not going to be able to change.
Days of the week are out the window when you run a business, aren't they?
Yeah, but then I think you've just got to make the time for that and then go and do something safe.
But then also, you now have full control where you could say, oh, we can go to Bali for a month, or
exactly, yeah.
You know what? It's a Tuesday. Do you want to go to a beach club? You can do whatever you want on any day, technically.
Yeah.
But people from the outside will see that and think, oh yeah, they've just got it so easy, they don't work, they're just taking money. Whereas you've earned your rights for that and you're still working. You know, I saw a study, and there's a lot of people I saw in the study basically think that people who are doing better financially work less and they work less hard, whereas like they work so many more hours across a week.
Yeah, because what people think that they're doing less. Oh yeah, they're doing way more than people think.
Yeah, because
what's work? Do you know, I'm going to go to the gym. That's technically work, isn't it? Like, you know, replying to client messages on the treadmill is work. But you know, how many hours of like on your laptop are you doing? You're probably doing 6 hours at least, plus all the other stuff you've done. Like, you're always working. So yeah, they definitely need to understand that. Otherwise, it's just not going to work. Like, they can't detract from what we're trying to do, I don't think. But it's not a priority right now. I wouldn't say no, but I just. Because also, like, what I've realised as well is like how many fucking fit girls are there?
So many, man.
You don't need to get obsessed with one.
No, I agree. You don't. There's so many, but at the same time, I'm so picky. I can be in a room with like 50 fit girls, and I'm like, I look at all of them, and I'm like, I'm not saying any of them are bad looking. I'm like, they're all really good looking, but I know when it's the girl. I've got this weird thing, and I could be like, no, these are all really pretty girls, but I get an energy. I just feel it, and I'm like, it's her. But I could be in front of 50 really good looking girls and be like, don't even want to speak to half of them.
Yeah. I think a good way to sum it up, I wouldn't want to get into something unless I was on my way or set. Like I know a few lads who've moved here at the same time as me. They're not in the same industry, but they meet a girl, they become obsessed with them before they've made it in what they're trying to do.
And then they get comfy.
And you know what? They spend 6 months getting told what to do. Then they dump them and they've got nothing. They've made no money. They might have to leave. Like
you've got to be in the position as a lad where you've got to be absolutely fine by killing it either way. So I think if you're on your own mission, like now, I'm like, literally, I could not be happier.
Yeah.
So if I was with or was without a girl, it wouldn't change my dynamic.
Yeah.
So a girl, one, is going to respect you more because she's like, oh, he's sound either way, so she's going to try harder, she's going to be good for you.
You give off a better vibe anyway.
You give off a better vibe because you're not depressed, you're not down because you've got a purpose. So you're gonna give off a lot of energy, be able to provide for them, and then they're also gonna think, I'm not really gonna waste this guy's time because he's going somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure. I think like if you're a guy and you're unhappy, it's not because you're single, it's because you've not got a purpose. You're not progressing in what because like I've been single for 4 years and I've been pretty happy.
Yeah, if every guy went out there and they trained, they got in the best shape of their life, they worked on the mindset, they were focused on the career or at least knew where they wanted to go and they weren't just thinking about it but they were actioning it, depression does not fucking exist for them people because they're going somewhere. If you focus on something bigger than yourself, yes, you can have days that are tough and you don't feel like it, but you're so busy, you don't have time to fucking worry. When you're bored and you're sat at home, you're like, in bed, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna go to the cupboard and get some biscuits. I'm gonna fucking wank myself off because you're bored. Like boredom is the biggest killer of everything. Whereas if you're on your mission, if I'm awake, I'm working. Like it's as simple as that. If I'm in the gym between sets, I'm working. If I'm awake at any point, I'm working. Other than in like programmed in downtime. Like if I go on a date, it's going in my diary. Yeah, like I will literally program her. If I'm meeting a girl, she'll go in my diary for a slot.
Yeah, you'll have to.
Because otherwise, it's not working. I'm like, sorry, someone's booked in for a call.
Yeah, I mean that's the way.
So I don't have time to not like every second. I've just got positivity, making sure that I'm improving towards where I want to go, physique, career, lifestyle. How can you be unhappy if you're doing that?
Yeah, for sure.
People that aren't going somewhere and haven't taken the time to figure out where they want to go, that's where unhappiness comes from.
And they'll be sitting there waiting for the message. Like, oh, she hasn't replied yet, she's been online.
I've been there before.
Yeah,
though.
of course, you did.
When I was younger, I was that person and I'd be like when I was in one of my old jobs and I'd just have too much time on my hands, mate. I'd just be there, wait, oh, fuck, she's not replied, what's she doing?
And then you're thinking, oh, have I pissed her off? What did I say? You're scrolling up.
Now, mate, I'll like see it and I'll go into my personal WhatsApp and be like, oh, she replied like 2 weeks ago.
Shit.
Like, oh, sorry, shit. Right, mate, class. Pleasure having you on anyway.